You're listening to RTLSA.
Joining us live on RTLSA, Arlene, Petersen, welcome to it.
Hey! No, I love your vibe. I love this whole vibe. It's very futuristic, eh?
Listen, Arlene, you were a dead ringer set to come onto the show at some point. We just haven't made it happen until now. So super stoked and super excited to have you here with me tonight.
I just want to tell you, we've got something in common. I'm also sitting with my licorice tobacco.
Okay, so we're going to have a rollie now.
As soon as the shops open, I'm like, I'm getting me tobacco because anything can happen. I'm going to have tobacco.
You know what?
Just to be prepared.
You know what the worst is? When we first went into lockdown, for those 21 days, I stocked up. I went and I got myself a couple of cartons of cigarettes and a couple of packets of tobacco. And then it got extended and extended and extended.
Hey.
And
extended.
Then I had no more tobacco.
Not being replenished. So your resources was like decreasing, gone,
Exactly.
missing.
And the moment they opened up, I went and I bought myself 2 packets of tobacco, which I haven't smoked since.
Wow. You know, even before lockdown, my brand was Caesar Pop. Right, that was my brand by choice. Okay. And during lockdown, that was the only available brand that we could find. And I was so happy. I'm like, this is my brand. I love it. Thank you so much. And my people that was so snobbish about brands, they humble today. They learned. Today they learned.
You want to hear a funny story? There was this guy that was selling cigarettes here in Durban during lockdown. And he was selling all the cheap brands. Obviously, it wasn't legal, but he was doing it because he was providing a service, you know, and it was a valuable service to a lot of people in that time. And then, you know, I got a message from him yesterday, and he's still selling cigarettes because people are still buying the cheaper brands.
Wow, he built up his clientele. I'm so proud of that guy for starting a business, building a clientele, because anybody can start a business, but it's how you network with your clientele that sets you apart.
Exactly.
And clearly, he got the niche in the market for that.
He was a lawyer before lockdown. Now he's a peddler of cigarettes. No,
I rest my case, Your Honor. I rest my case.
But listen, I do have a bone to pick with you. Why do you continue, you guys down in the Western Cape, continue to send us in the eastern coast of South Africa your crap weather? Jeez, it's been really bad here lately.
Bruh, I feel like we send it to you and you counterattack. You send it right back at us. I feel like it's a duel, it's an ongoing battle. Because in 1 week, we had 2 summer days, 3 winter days, autumn, everything. But 2020 can't even surprise me anymore now. I'm done. Aliens can come and I'll just be sipping on my tea like, okay.
I'm going to ask you this question. What do you get after 2 days of rain in Durban? Can you guess?
What do you get? A full crop?
No, Monday.
Wow! No, came with his own jokes.
I thought I'm not going to get shown up on my own show tonight.
Congratulations on doing 200 shows. I was listening. I'm like, that takes commitment.
Yeah.
And I love this RTL vibe. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. 200th show coming up next week. Yeah, and it's we're moving into a new era with RTL.
Yes.
You're the last guest in the old school. You're going to be a guest
I feel like I'm back in matric
well.
right now. Because in my matric year, I was the last of the OBR, OBS, what do they call it? I don't know. And then the year after me, it went to CAT. So you're taking me right back to school right now.
Oh, come on. That was only like 2 years ago, wasn't that?
Thank you. No. You 10 points to you. Thank you.
Arlene, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Let's talk a bit about what you're up to. What have you been up to during lockdown?
Lockdown, I was stuck on my phone just like I am right now. I loved for that 5 minutes that I could go live on someone's show and do an interview or just tell 5 jokes. It was all about going online and networking. And I mostly ate. I cooked. I ate some more. I discovered a big lesson in lockdown. I've learned that the yellow pages is not that bad.
Oh, yeah?
Uh,
What do you like cooking? What's your favorite dish?
My favorite dish would be my signature dish. That would be sweet potato stew with chilies. So I'll make it in a chili oil and chilies at the bottom, but a little bit of sweet of the sweet potato. It's my signature dish all the time. Either that or pasta.
That sounds amazing. I'm coming down to Cape Town in December. I'm coming for dinner. Definitely coming for dinner.
You should definitely. No, you are speaking to a champion right now. During lockdown, I went on a cooking game show called Lati Potte Prit. It's on via DSTV. And I actually won the show. So guys out there, come get your wife. I can cook. Get your wife. Funny thing about that though. The day when I won that competition and I came home and I was start singing, "We are the champions, my friend." The very next day, I burnt the rice.
No, you're kidding.
And my little niece came in with her remix. "No time for losers" in my face. Like, they're never gonna let me love that moment down. That the very next day after being a champion, I burnt the rice.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. You know, people are going to be very careful when they brag, you know? And it's not that you couldn't back it up. It was just that circumstances were obviously against you that night.
Definitely. No, one of my lines in my comedy sets is, "I'm really not the type of person that brag, no? Right before I brag." So that is my whole life. So, I say that right before I brag so that you can know it comes from a humble place. It's a humble brag.
That's incredible. Now, comedy has been a relatively new thing for you. What were you doing before comedy?
Before comedy, I was trapped in the colored system of, kry maar net a government job.
Oh, yeah?
Just get a government job, get a house. I was doing admin. I was doing a lot of voluntary work for NPOs, gender-based violence, working with children. But I was never really seeking what is my potential, what is my career. I was just drifting, that calls us looking for people, so go and find a job there. But during all that, I used to MC events a lot. I used to MC all the time. I would host shows, whether it was the 80th birthday, a 50th, a baby shower, whatever. I was the MC. So it was a natural switch from being an MC to doing a 5 minutes. And from there, I just blew up, even if I should say so myself.
You did. You hit the scene hard, and you grew exponentially in a very short amount of time. What was your secret? Because one thing I've learned, and I've had a lot of comedians on the show, comedians don't tell jokes. They tell stories in a funny way, I believe. And so has that sort of been your recipe? Have you had a good story to tell?
I am a storyteller by nature. It stems back from sitting around the fire with friends, your cousins, your little cousins, and it will come, eendag was daar gewees Domjan en Slimjan, and you have to make up a story on the go. So it stems back from, I love talking, number one. I love talking. I will take over your whole show now if you're not careful. No.
I've got a mute button.
And what I do is, I will tell stories and I will keep it so transparent. I will use anything that happens in my life and use it as content and put a positive switch around it. Because I'm all about being as positive as 2 lines on a pregnancy test. So no matter how deep the story gets, I will put a positive spin on it, and people will relate to me and they were like, And after my gig, they will ask, "Did you really go through that?" And I'll be like, "Yes." And they were like, "Wow, a person will never say." By
Yeah.
putting it in my comedy, I'm spreading a message that where you live does not determine who you are. That is my bottom line. So my secret, what I've been doing, I've been working hard now
Yeah.
without getting paid. Like I don't care if it's an open mic, if it's 2 minutes, if it's 3 minutes. I will catch the last bus from Cape Town, 10 to 10 the night to my house with my pepper spray in my hand. I have the drive and I'm eager to make it. I think that was what sets me apart.
I think what you're saying there is actually very pertinent, and a lot of because I'm obviously in the music game, and a lot of youngsters come through and think they're just going to go and sing a few songs and they're going to make it, but they don't realize that there's a lot of sacrifice that comes before you actually achieve any form of success.
But like I feel like people, especially my generation, I'm gonna put myself now in the millennials because I can. I'm actually Gen X, but I'm putting myself in the millennials for the sake of this piece. I feel that the millennials feel that they have the clout. So the clout is the amount of followers that you have on Instagram. I look at people and I'm like, you have 5 posts, but you have 6,000 followers. Like, are you nuts? Like, what even? So I feel like they put themselves on a pedestal. Yay, I've got a lot of followers. You can't tell me. But it's what you do with your platform. I was in lockdown. I was in a campaign for Chive. And then I was put there with influencers with 100,000 followers, 2 million followers, and here I come with my 800 followers, and I'm doing it all for that 800 followers to change their lives, not for the clout. It's not about the clout for me.
That is incredibly inspirational because I had Jem Atkins on the show a little while back, and we actually spoke about something very similar about performing. Whether you've got 2 people in the crowd or 2,000 people in the crowd, you're doing the same quality of show because you never know who's sitting in front of you. And I suppose on social media, it's the same thing. You're not quite sure who's actually watching the show, and that could actually open doors for you.
That's what happened in lockdown. I did a Instagram live with 5 people in the live now, I promise you. And just as I am in real life, I keep it on my social media platform. So one of those 5 people was someone from Atlanta, Georgia, in the
Okay.
USA. And then they asked me, do you want to host our show from your lounge in Atlanta, Georgia? So one of that 5 people in that live was quality. Because it's not about the quantity, it's not about how many people you perform, but it takes one person to notice you and get another gig from there. And it's always been about word of mouth where I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
All the time when I come from stage, I will talk to everyone, I will network, and that's how I will get another gig. Word of mouth.
Absolutely. Because, I mean, obviously, then you'll go do that one gig, and 3 people that at that gig will see you, and so it snowballs. But that's why you've got to stay true to yourself and be excellent no matter how many people are in front of you. And congratulations to you for that.
Thank you.
You've got a backstory, and I think just after the music break we'll talk more about that. But I want to talk a little bit about your early days in comedy, and especially being a woman coming into a male-dominated situation. What kind of challenge was it for you getting involved in comedy as a woman?
I'm one of the lucky ones, no. I would really have to say I'm one of the lucky ones. But it stems on my upbringing. So I was born a twin, and I had a twin brother, and all our friends was male. I was the only female. So for me, I actually relate more to men than with women. So having that, growing up as a tomboy, I'm comfortable in a man's world. It was like they threw me for the wolves, and I'm like, I came out being one of the alpha females. Do you get the alpha female? I don't know. I just made it up. But I'm an alpha female now.
You you are
So
the
for
you are
me,
the
I'm one of the
first alpha
best
female.
ones. I'm one of the blessed ones. I really have I have one or two negative stories that happened at gigs, but I can't say that I've been treated differently because I'm a female, actually.
Do you consider yourself maybe now, and I know there are some female comedians around, but do you consider yourself maybe someone who's leading the trend at the moment? Are you trying to be a leader for women, or are you just trying to find your own
I
way?
really am. I'm really trying to be a leader for other women. One of my very favorite comics, Tiffany Haddish. Her story is she told everyone that she's gonna go out and make it and come back for everyone. And she did. She made it. And she made her own show called They Ready. And she went back to the hood and got all those people that she said, I'm coming back for you. And she put them on a Netflix special. So I feel that is really what I want to do. But funny story though, I applied for a mentorship program where I could mentor, yeah, especially colored women. I wanted to
Mm.
mentor colored women, and they rejected me now. But it's fine, guys. If you're watching this, I'm doing my own thing so I can mentor in my own time. Thank you.
Why? Okay, it doesn't really matter why they did, but I love what you're saying. The fact that you're going to use your platform regardless of whether people say yes or no. You're actually going to just take your platform and do it anyway, forge your own way, and help other people along the way.
I've always been that person. I feel like from a very young age, I've always been the voice of the people. Even in primary school, when people had social anxiety and they didn't know what was called social anxiety back then, but they wouldn't be able to talk, they will ask me, Arlene, ask Miss, can we have a free period to study before we? And I will
Mm.
go like, Miss, on behalf of the class, I'm just asking, can we use the free period to study before we write our test? And I would get it right. So I've been the voice of the people through all out my life. It's second nature for me.
Okay, now I wanted to ask you, and I know we did mention it when we were chatting earlier in the week, well, last week. You speak in interviews that I've read about you, you speak about your brother and the tragedy that befell you and how that actually influenced your career. And for people that don't know the story, maybe if you don't mind just sharing, because it is a very inspirational story.
So as I just mentioned, guys, like I was born a twin, and I feel like it started when we were 17 years old. We were 17, and my twin brother started hanging out with the wrong crowds. From there, everything just down spiraled. As you know, when someone in your family becomes a gang member, everything goes bad in your house. You have to buy a kettle every second month. Your flat iron is gone. Your favorite pair of Jordans is gone, and the list goes on and on. You guys
Mm.
know, and it's been a battle for me since we were 17. At the age of 23, my brother got shot. That would be for the first time, and you know, when he got shot at the age of 23, I remember the last words I told him was, I don't love you and I don't hate you and I feel absolutely nothing for you. I literally had to rush to the hospital so that I can go ask for forgiveness. And
Mm.
I really feel my life turned around at the age of 23 because I felt like I needed spiritual healing for this because how could I be the one that uttered those words? He got a second chance at that moment. He got a second chance. And I just decided that no matter what my brother's going to do to me, I'm just going to love him. Because I'm not super religious, but I believe in God and I'm spiritual. So my message out of that was we can't change people. I try to send him to rehab, do all those things, but we can't change people, but we can love people.
Mm.
Because ultimately, God is love. So if God is love, then ultimately God and love changes people. So about 4 years ago, when we were 26, he got shot again. And at that time, he wasn't lucky enough to get a second chance. But I got a second chance the first time around. So when he got shot when we were 26, we left on a clean note, if I have to say it like that, because I
Mm.
already decided at the age of 23, I'm just going to love him. And I needed, when I lost my brother, 26, on Mother's Day, my mom's only son, it was very difficult in our house. We had to learn how to love again, how to heal ourselves. And I feel that's the way really with comedy started because now, right now, my mom is laughing again. So comedy in my house has become more than just making other people laugh, but therapy and laughter for my own family. So I feel like it's deeper than just me going out on stage, being a comic and making other people laugh. I'm finding my healing and healing my family in the process.
That's absolutely
Yeah,
incredible.
that got very
Amazing.
deep right now.
No, and I'm glad it did, because like I was saying in the interview that I read, you and as you just mentioned as well, that moment became a life-changing moment for you. And that's when you decided to forge your path in comedy and make a go of it. And it's very interesting how you say that it becomes a healing process, because I believe laughter is a healing process and part of the process when you're healing.
You know what the thing is? No, my brother was actually way funnier than me. For real. I cried to go with him and his friends, but he would never say no. He was actually way more funnier than me. So at my 1 year anniversary last year, I took a pic, I blew it up and I put it on stage with me. And it really felt like he was there. Like he was saying, Salute, away. And that it keeps me close to him. It keeps me close that he is actually the funny one, but I could take it because I'm the one that can speak in front of crowds. And if he was still alive, I'm probably sure he would have been one of my ghostwriters and I wouldn't have given him credit. I'm just saying because I'm petty like that.
Nice. Well, you just keep up the good work, and his legacy lives through you. And that's actually quite incredible. We're going to take a little music break. And when we come back, I'm going to talk about something that you said in one of these interviews. And
Okay.
you put yourself on the spot in this interview. And I'm going to bring up those words and I'm going to hold you to it.
Okay.
So you can now go pour yourself a stiff one and roll your rolly,
I'm
because
definitely.
because I think you're gonna need it after this.
My nerves klaar. Mense, help me.
Wait, listen to this. I've got a guy on my show, and this can be your thing.
My nerves are finished.
He always comes in and he drops it in.
My nerves are finished.
My nerves are finished. Finish him.
All right, we will see you in just a minute after this music break. Right, spending time with Arlene Petersen tonight on RTLSA. And when we get back, I'm going to put her in the hot seat properly. Not even a little bit. And you don't want to miss that.
You're listening to RTLSA.
Arlene, are you ready for this? Before we get into it, though.
I tried to run to the toilet. I was nervous and I tried to run to the toilet, but I'm like, okay, I'm here.
You know what they say to sportsmen? They say to sportsmen, if you need to wee before a game, don't. Because you will actually use up that energy. So don't worry. I'm going to make you sweat it out. Don't
Okay,
stress.
I've actually heard something else. Yeah, I heard something else about sportsmen. 3 days before a show or something. 3 days before a game.
Yeah.
Okay.
No sex.
Leave it at that.
Definitely no sex. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially the night before. Yeah. Because you can't drain those fluids. Okay, having a look at some comments coming through on YouTube. Obviously, Cassandra popping in saying, "Hey, Arlene." Lauren from Port Elizabeth wants to know, when you burnt your rice, who cleaned the pots or who cleaned the dishes?
I do it. I clean, I cook on my own. So I fixed my own mistake.
Okay.
Thank you, Lauren, for the concern.
Do you know when I burn rice in the pots, I throw the pot away?
Nah, bruh, I have to keep my resources. I'm trying this thing where I'm following Uncle Roger. Uncle Roger. He's
No, but you
teaching
see-
us how to cook rice the Chinese way. So my family hates it.
I
Sorry, Uncle Roger.
actually stopped cooking rice because I burnt it too many times. And I don't just do it in half measure. I literally burn the rice. It's if I'm going to do something, I do it properly. That's why I have to throw the pot away.
You seem like that guy. You do seem like if you're going to do something, you're going to go all out, rock off, put your socks off.
I've got
So
some more
big ups to
comments.
you. Big ups. No halfies here.
Got some more comments. Zelda from Durban is saying, Arlene, you are an absolute gem. And then Lauren as well popping up saying that you are an
Oh,
amazing
thank you
lady.
guys.
So, yeah, you're
Oh, I
making.
feel so warm and fuzzy.
But this is what I do. I make you feel all happy and comfortable, and I'm about to drop you in a pot of hot water now.
Go now. No, no. He's our man. If he can do it, no one can. Yeah,
Right.
no. TikTok.
I, I
Boom.
read I read in an article that you did with the Southern Mail, and they said
Okay.
Arlene has big plans for the future and one day sees herself being a member of parliament by day and comedian by night.
Yeah, my comedy, I even speak about it in my comedy because when I lost my twin brother, there was I was one of the first people on the scene because they shot him right in front of our house. And I had to call my dad that lives 3 streets away from us. And we picked him up and we drove him to the hospital. He was still alive. The police came and interrogated me for removing evidence from the crime scene.
Oh dear.
At that point, it wasn't evidence, it was my brother being a victim. And I felt like I need to do something, and that's when I quit my job. I was a quality controller for a market research company. So I would read surveys all day and figure out where people are lying and coding and things like that. I felt like that wasn't my purpose. So I quit my job, applied everywhere, and I got a bursary to go study politics in the hopes that one day I could get to Parliament and change legislation. But in the meantime, when I was done with studying, I went to go work for Pilisa Abafazi Betu, which is in the private sector fighting for women and children's rights. And I found a space where I can help women in that same predicament of losing their children to gang violence, but people in our own community turning around and say, you deserve to die like a pig, which is not the case. I know you have to live with the choices that you make, but why I want to do and go into parliament is I want to change legislation so that we can live a better life. But when I was working at Pilisa Bafazi, my comedy career accelerated at the exact same time. And it was always a case of I can't get a leave day because the corporate want to book me. And then I figured out now that when I'm on stage, that's the only time that I'm working and I don't feel like I'm working. So where my life is heading right now is I think I felt like I needed to go to parliament to make change, but I can actually change people by speaking to them in my comedy. So if I have 20 people in a room from different communities and I leave my message with them, they go back into their communities and they become the change agent that I wanted to be in parliament. So I'm not so sure about that because my family are all tracking me now on, so what happened to parliament? What happened to politics? Like, my bottom line is no, I got a bursary. No one paid for me to go study and feel entitled that, hey, I paid your studies, so why are you not going into it? The government is the only people that can be mad at me because they paid for it.
Okay.
So that's why I'm using my platform to create change.
You know what's really cool? There's a guy that broke the ceiling and proved that a clown can be president. So I'm pretty sure. And I speak of the US President Donald Trump.
Okay, either way, even if it was our cabinet, it's still funny. I'm still laughing that same laugh.
Don't get me started, because this is exactly where I'm going to throw you in the deep end now. Let's say now you are President Arlene Petersen of the Republic of South Africa, and you started serving your term in 2019. Okay. How would you, as president of this country, handle the COVID-19 pandemic that we are currently facing?
Sure. First of all, I would have ensured that there was no looting. I would have been the head of finances in my own capacity. I don't care if I'm the president and I'm only doing oversight. I feel like where we go wrong is trusting people that did not study finances, that can't even do a simple math equation of where is the other one rand. I would have first of all never trust anyone with those millions. What I would have done was I would have taken some of that money and actually paid grocery stores to become a public entity where people can actually come and come collect groceries in the first place. Because all those groceries that I have been giving, you know, my phone number has been given to so many organizations. We never even up until today received one parcel of groceries. So first of all, I would have ensured that that money goes into, I would have merged the private sector with the public sector. And I don't want to put names of brands out there, but the big grocery stores could have played a big role in this COVID, but they chose to capitalize, to sell their goods to starving people. That would have been the first thing. I saw too many people starve in my hood. It hurt. I had to literally get up during lockdown. My mom was so scared in the heart of lockdown. I went out and I volunteered at MPOs so I can ensure that 100 people are having a meal today.
Sure.
It's just for our dignity, man. Like a basic meal is a basic right, and that was the first. That was the first wrong. That I would have ensured everybody ate. Number one,
How do
I
you
would have figured
think
out
that?
the rest as I went along.
Yeah. How do you think now that we're sitting today and our numbers are down and there's less new infections and things like that? How do you think our government handled this pandemic from an overall perspective? Do you think they did the right thing, or do you think that they dropped the ball somewhere along the way? How do you feel about it?
I have to admit, in the beginning, no, I was very impressed with our government, thinking that when they say that, right, we're going to do a lockdown now, I felt like they actually put our lives and our livelihoods ahead of the economy. But in hindsight, I now realize that by declaring a natural disaster, that automatically means that money is going to come in, whether it's from the UN, whether it's from the USA, just like they did with our water crisis. The more they escalated, because we have a budget for natural disasters, there must be a budget. So the only way that we can tap into that budget is if we declare a disaster, a state of disaster. So in hindsight, I feel like they played us. I'm still not sure about the figures though, because really, there was never one testing station in our wood. And let me tell you that there was no lockdown in Lavender Hill. When I told my mom, I'm so glad we level one now. My mom was like, "It's also Sri Lanka level one. He isn't in level one." Like, I'm like, no, no.
I tell you what.
Like the fact, no, the fact that I'm still alive and talking to you, and I've solely been surviving on shopping at our local tuck shop, at a house shop 2 doors away from me. I mean, I should have been dead then. Because where
Yeah.
did the plucky fish come from? Where did the loose onion come from? I should have been dead, but I'm still here.
You know, you mentioned that, and obviously you being in the Western Cape as well. A couple of weeks ago, I don't know if you know Liam and Bevan, the broke brasa.
Yeah, the broke brasser.
Yeah.
Broke brasser.
Brasa, yeah. I had them, I always battle with that. But anyway, but I had them on the show. And it was like just before we were down to level one. And Bevan said to me, he says to me, "I'm so glad that the rest of South Africa is now finally joining the Western Cape on level one."
That is funny because, you know, where I live in Lavendale, which is like, it's like the Atlanta, the Brooklyn of the ghetto in America. It's exactly the same. And I feel like we feel that we can get shot just by opening our door. You can get shot by a stray bullet coming through your lounge. So we were never scared of COVID. We like, COVID's a moer. We're not scared of COVID. That's how we felt. COVID wil zich een moer word. That's how we felt about it.
Yeah, hold my beer. I'm going to sort you out, COVID.
Hou my earring. The one pot, hou my tanden.
Oh dear me. Can I ask you a silly question?
Yeah.
Why do you stay where you are? Why have you not moved? What keeps you in
I've
Lavender?
never, I've tried and become financially stable, to be honest. But I never figured out what I want to do in my life. So I've always been reinventing. So with that comes starting all over again. Now at the age of 31, I finally found my passion, and I strongly believe that I will be able to move with the progression that I'm making right now. That is the end goal, to get me and my family out there. But my mom feels a bit different. When we were growing up, we were, I don't know the English word for it, but we call it swerve, like moving from place, like being a vagabond basically.
Yeah.
We never had a house of our own. There was one point we were living in a car. I joined the local swimming team so I can just have access to a shower. So I grew up very dirt poor, guys. And then my mom got this piece of land from the government that she had to build our own house, which is not even complete. We've been here now 10 years, and the house is still not complete. So she feels she ain't going anywhere. She found her place. This is her house on the Rijkspaper that stand A.E. Petersen. So that's how she feels. So I feel I can't move and leave her behind. I'm taking everybody. So I just need to get financially stable in order for me to get out here.
Now, how big a role does the community play in deciding to stay there, for example? Because obviously, I'm sure it's not just about the fact that your mom's got the land, but I think also maybe the community around her has a role to play.
No, I do feel that plays a strong part, because let me tell you, I was about 21, and I was the manager of a call center in Somerset West. And during the week, I would get a lift with someone that commuted to Somerset West. And then I decided I'm going to go get a place of my own there. And I actually got an apartment. But the culture is not the same now. I miss the garage. I miss the knock on the door someone asking for potatoes, salt. I miss knowing my neighbors. I miss asking, didn't you see that bra now with the black jacket? You just walk past here. Because when I went to go and live in Somerset West, no one spoke to me. I saw my neighbors in the morning, and we would literally say hi. And then we will all come back from work the night, and we will say hi. And that was it. So I really do feel that the culture, bruh, you can cook a whole pot of food if you just walk down my road. Ask the first person for an onion, the second house for salt, the third house, you come there, they say they have the potatoes and the meat. You come, you say you have potato, you have the onion and the salt, and everybody eats. So I do feel that the culture plays a big role in living in the wood.
I want to ask you.
Everybody understands the struggle.
Yeah, but this is what I want to ask you about now, and I don't want to, I don't want this to be too serious, and so that's why this will be the last serious thing I want to know from you. But do you, being in that neighborhood and growing up the way you did, and now obviously expanding into, venues now where it's a different crowd, different lifestyle, is there a massive divide between the poor and the rich, or is it getting smaller in the country, or is it getting bigger?
I still feel there's a massive divide between the poor and the rich, and it's evident. You can see. If I just go 5 kilometers away from my house, I'm in Marina de Goma, beachfront, beach view, and that's like only divided by one national demarcation road, which is the M5. It's evident, you can see it. But luckily for me, as I was saying, we moved around so much that there was times that I landed up in a very nice place. So for me, I feel comfortable in a penthouse suite in a jacuzzi, and I feel equally comfortable in a bungalow getting water down the road by Auntie Stina. Equally comfortable.
Because I suppose life is not necessarily dictated by your circumstances, but rather about how you approach your circumstances.
And now you know why I said in the beginning of the show that I love my life with the phrase, where you live does not determine who you are. That's
Now,
why I love
how
my life like that.
now how does your upbringing affect your comedy? You were saying that you're a storyteller and you use a lot of stories from your upbringing. How do you go about articulating it in such a way that you relate to an audience that doesn't necessarily understand that side of life?
Okay, so just to make one example, one of my jokes that I have, I would say, I would tell them a story of who I am, a little background, whatever, and then I will say how I tragically lost my brother 3 years, 4 years ago. Yeah, he did get shot in front of our house and he didn't make it. But now we have a spare bedroom in a densely populated area. A bread lost for more than 3 days in our house now. And as a woman, I had his blood all over me, but at least it was the other way around and not me having my own period bloods on me. So I will literally take dog shit and turn it around with a positive spin. I will end my set positive. They will literally understand where I come from, whether you have been sheltered, whether you have come
Yeah.
from a rich background. You're going to understand where I come from at the end of my set.
Do you ever get the people like are shocked by you telling the story like
I
that or
love
something
it.
like that?
I love when people are shocked because I live a very open life, and especially on social media, I will post random stuff, funny stuff, deep stuff, but people wouldn't go as far as 4 years ago on my timeline to see what I went through. So it's a case of you see my glory, but you don't know my story. So when I share my story with you, and then you look at me like, but you had a show with Youngster 3 weeks ago, I'm like, yeah, because I didn't go lay down. All of these things happened to me, but I'm choosing to be positive. It's a mindset. And that's why I share it, because I don't want people to think that I'm funny and I'm colored, so I'm the token colored girl on the poster. No, it's more than that. It's more than that.
Now you've worked with quite a number of big comedians. Who would your favorite comedian be that you've worked with?
Shami Isaacs. I have
Jimmy
two. Shami
Isaacs.
Isaacs and Chantal Jack's Finter. Oh my snap! Even I know this sits back to front. I will still sit and laugh in the audience. As if I heard the jokes for the first time. I love Shami Isaacs and I love Chantal Jacks. Chantal Jacks actually allowed me to be an opening act February in the Mother City Comedy Festival 2020. I still got to be in a festival when other people said there's no for 2020. So thank you for that, Chantal.
That's incredible. Now I read as well that you were working on a one woman show to take place at the Artscape. Did that happen? Because I know this interview was done quite a while back. So
That never transpired because I was working towards my one woman show at the Artscape, but then I got the Jai Funny Festival gig. So I had to slightly change my direction to prepare me for the Jai Funny Festival. Obviously, that couldn't happen because of COVID. But in July, for my birthday, I decided to get a new tattoo. So if you look at my arm, you can see it's
cool.
the guy that's on a snowboard.
A snowboard. I would have said surfboard, but I'm
So,
from Durban, so
no, it's a snowboard. I
snowboard.
was
Okay.
bored one night. I was watching the Olympics and they were explaining about snowboarding and how you need to do all those pulamakis and tricks in the air to accumulate all the points. But if you don't stick the landing, then everything you did, all that tricks, all that trimmings does not count. So now I'm working towards my new one-man show, which has changed. The concept has changed. It's called It's How You Land.
That's how
And
you
that's why I
land.
got the tattoo. It's going to be my show's
Nice.
name. It's How You Land.
So where do you see yourself in the next 5 years or so? You've now gone full time into comedy, and it's something that a career that you're going to pursue. If you had everything go your way, 5 years from now, what would you be doing?
I'll be an actress on TV. I've now, I've tasted a sip of it, and now I want the whole jug.
Sure.
Um, so basically, my new goal is that I want to be a household name. I want to be a household name. When someone says Arlene Petersen, they must know.
All right.
So basically, I want to really push Afrikaans. That is my language. I speak Afrikaans. And for many years, it's been a case of we are diluting Afrikaans. Like, no, bruh. Every single language in South Africa has a diluted dialect that
Yeah.
are being used. So I really would want to be on a show where I get to portray Afrikaans in a positive way. Because it's also going to be easier for my career. If you see me every day on TV and I have a comedy show, it's going to be sold out. So it's a win-win.
Well, I tell you what, you're off to a very good start by being on RTL, because now you can take this forward with you and you could say, hey, I was on that show.
Did
You see,
this bucket
you,
list.
you
Check.
see, you see what I'm doing here? I'm perception building.
I receive that. I receive that with open arms. No.
Arlene, I know you're still young in the business, but if you had any advice to give to young women who want to follow in your footsteps and go into comedy and ultimately television and entertainment, what advice would you give them? What would you say to them?
My biggest advice that I always tell everyone is stay authentic, stay true to yourself. If I can give you just one example, at the end of last year, we did this big show where 20 comics came together and it was like a year-end function. And one of the big names, I will not mention, one of the big name guys came over to me after my set. He met me for the first time, even though he has seen me on social media. And he came to me and he said, you all in, you nogal skak funny, but just make less vagina jokes. And I really felt,
The way
I
you
don't
said
feel like
that,
he has the right. He don't even have the right to tell me I can't make vagina jokes because I have one and he don't. So I went ahead and I'm still making vagina jokes. Stay true to yourself. People are going to give you a lot of advice, just like I'm giving you advice right now, but it's up to you to decide what advice are you taking and what are you not. Do not take all the advice because you're going to lose yourself. And once you lose yourself, you lose your comedy because you are the voice. This is your voice. Do not let anyone dilute your voice. That's the advice. And do not be scared to work hard and fail and try again. Like one joke will not land tonight, but tomorrow that same joke will land with the other crowd. Do not give up.
what do you do when a joke doesn't land? If you're sitting in front of a crowd and that one line that you've got prepped ready to go doesn't land, just doesn't hit home.
You know, I had this one joke. I'm very blessed and privileged that I actually have a very nice personality, even if I don't say so myself.
No,
So
you are
the
certainly
trick
right.
of thank you. The trick of being a comedian is that your charm factor must be extremely high. Show your personality, let it shine through. Once you show your personality to the audience, they will love you. Then at that moment, it really doesn't even matter what you say. They're gonna love you. That is my trick. You know what? This is my second year in comedy. I haven't died on stage yet.
Yeah.
Touch wood. I'm touching all the wood. I'm touching all the wood in my eyes right now. I haven't tried it, but I had this one joke where I would tell them that I come from a area, a hood, where it's so bad that there's even drugs in my name. Even my name is full of drugs. And I would say, or lean, and then you're right there, people don't get it. But we as millennials, we get it. We drink lean. It's codeine mixed with Sprite. And that all lean will not land. It didn't land for 6 months. And then I started incorporating the fact to educate the people. Maybe they don't know what is lean. And now I educate them. And now I back it up by saying Petersen with all the E's. and then they get it. So it took 6 months for that
Yeah.
one joke. So do not give up. I kept doing the joke until I found out if they do not laugh with it, educate them.
Educate them. That is incredible advice. Because I think it is quite important to educate your audience as well. Because they don't quite necessarily understand what you do to be up there and to do what you do. And I think sometimes it's not a bad thing to educate your audience and bring them along on the journey with you.
Yeah, like I use little phrases in my thing like, "Hi, weet julle nie wat is daai nie?" And then I will explain it. So I bring like I've learned from teachers in the past that I've always said, treat your audience not as if they're dumb, but treat them as if they don't know what you're talking about. So it's your job to explain even better. Then your wordsmith abilities needs to come in there. So you need to use the words to educate the masses. And that's what I've been doing. If they don't know, I will use my words with my personality. Hi, weet jy nou net daai gewetty? Then they will laugh for that. And they will forget that they didn't laugh for the joke previous that they didn't know about.
Nice. Arlene, I got to tell you something in closing. I normally play more than one song in a show like this, and I normally do that just to keep the audience engaged and whatever. I only played that one song because I needed to go get my rollies, which I never even rolled. I still got it, yeah.
You suck! I can roll with my fingers.
No,
Blah, I must
but
teach
that's-
you. I must teach you.
Nah, I'm lazy like that. But that's just testimony of what an incredibly interesting person you are, and how incredibly interesting this chat has been. So I just want to thank you so much for joining us. You not only lived up to what I expected, you super exceeded what I expected tonight.
Oh, thank you for having me, Noel. I appreciate this because at the end of the day, one day when I'm famous, I can come back to this and be like, Noel saw me and you guys didn't. You were still sleeping on me.
Let me tell you
So
this.
thank you for having me.
Let me tell you this. Famous or not, you are coming back.
We back. We back, we back, we back.
I'm
Also,
booking-
you say that you in music, and I've been looking at the guitars the whole time, like, I sing too, and I've never even started using it in my comedy. I've been singing in my church choir for the last 5 years, and they don't even know.
You should use
So
it.
it's about to go down.
You should do it. You
I feel like
should
it's
do it.
time. I feel like I found my comedy style now, and now I can incorporate the music.
You should do it. Do spoof songs and stuff like that.
You want to hear a snippet? Do you want to hear a snippet?
Let's go for it. Go for it.
Okay. Woo! You can buy me purple. You can buy me chips. Take me on a cruise around Lavender Hill. Baby, you know I'm worth it. Dinner lit by Gatsby. And a bottle jive. Smoking rollies tenderly to last and last. 'Cause baby, you know I'm worth it.
You got your first round of applause in musical comedy.
Thank you.
Arlene,
Thank you so much.
It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show, and we really look forward to seeing your name in lights going forward.
Thank you so much, Noel. For everybody out there, please follow me on Instagram at That Comedy Chick on Facebook, or Arlene Petersen. You guys are amazing. Thank you to everybody that commented, Cassandra, Lauren, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
I got one more comment just came in via WhatsApp, and it was saying, that's from Beverly, and she was saying, I love her attitude to life, love her, so real, lived through some very difficult times.
Thank you, Beverly, and that was only a slice of the pie. Thank you, Beverly.
So they can follow you on on Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff. Do you do a lot of live stuff on Instagram?
I don't really do a lot of live. I choose to collaborate with other people. So, like with this, if someone has a live, I will collaborate, but I will see I'm going live with that person. I prefer to make little skits. So,
Okay.
I'm doing little videos that people can watch. Also, because I won the cooking competition, I became a brand ambassador for seed oil. So, I'm making little videos where people can follow me, how I'm making cooking. So, I'm becoming a cooking comic also. Ik weet nie meer
Brilliant.
nie. I'm just Thank
Brilliant.
you, God. I'm just
Brilliant.
receiving.
Well, Arlene, I will see you in December down in the Cape, and I'll actually
Oh,
have you. I'll have you
yeah.
live
I have
with
to
me.
say this. If I don't say this, I'm not a Cape Town colored. See you in the festive, as focal, as festive.
Well, there we go. I did promise you larger than life. Arlene Petersen joining us tonight on RTLSA. And what a wonderful evening it was. I even forgot to play music and do my rollies. And I'm definitely going to look forward to having her back on the show going forward.
You're listening to RTLSA.